your host, Mark Intrican, founder of the Achieving Unity Success Formula, also known as the Unity Success Formula. But we put achieving in front because it is an action. All the positive things that we do in life takes an action. All of our successes are all about taking action. And that's what we do is we are achieving unity in our success formula. You can find it at www.unitysuccessformula.com, which is dedicated to improving lives by encouraging, inspiring, and including others. That's the EII, encouraging, inspiring, and including others. Today, I am so honored to introduce a truly remarkable guest, Dr. Sheri Rosenthal. Dr. Sheri is a transformational life coach, retreat strategist, and former podiatric surgeon who left a thriving practice to pursue her purpose. Training for 8 years by Don Miguel Ruiz wrote the 4 agreements. She became a master Toltec teacher, author, and teacher and speaker, and founded the Wanderlust Entrepreneur to help leaders engage to create life-changing retreats. Her work parallels the Achieving Unity Success Formula, AUSF, in action. Accountability to one's truth, commitment to the aligned design, clear communication that fosters safety and inclusion, and courageous kindness that empowers authentic living. In short, her retreats turn inspiration into repeatable transformation. However, before we delve into that delightful discussion, let me briefly introduce my company, Reality Focus Dynamics, where it all began. If you look at the first slide, that is our Achieving Unity slide and our guide. And you look at the QR code on the bottom left, you get a copy of our guide. The QR code is for the Achieving Unity Guide. And it talks about that distancing or the hate and the frustration or the anger. It talks about the prejudgment or prejudice. And it talks about how we can resolve those. In those, they have no value. We'll talk more about that later. There is no value. But please go out there, go to the QR code at the bottom right, you go out to my blog. And in that blog, I talk about the encouraging, inspiring, and including others, the EII, and how it works in our daily life, plus many other articles that I've written that go with Achieving Unity Success Formula. So please go to the QR code, get a copy, give me feedback. I'm always looking forward to hearing from you. The Achieving Unity Success Formula. Today is our weekly podcast number 59. We've been at this for over a year. Hope you've been here before. Hope you're coming back. And I know many of you can't get off during the day or can't take the time during the day to be able to attend us live. So again, go out to YouTube, look at the video. It will be recorded and put out there. But we are every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Come join us every week if you can, or look at us, view us on YouTube. Always looking forward to your feedback. So what we talk about is our sheer process, and that is all about reality-focused dynamics, success-focused solution. And as you see our logo on the slide, it truly reflects the core of what we do and how we stand firm. Notice how focused is at the heart, right there in the center. That's because everything that we explore, from reality-focused dynamics to success-focused solution, revolves around clear, intentional direction. In fact, the concept of being focused is so core to us that it is even reflected in our business phone number, 303-362-8733, which spells 303 focused on your phone pad. Call us anytime, get in touch, set up a meeting, schedule it with us, but let's be focused on creating solutions, success, focus, solutions. That's where we go. That's where we want to join with us. We truly believe that by being focused on what matters, we can create meaningful change and achieve lasting unity for all of us. We have proven compassionate strategies, ones that turn conflict into lasting harmony. This is at home, it's at work, it's in every relationship that matters. As it says at the top, reality-focused dynamics equals success-focused solutions. Are you ever frustrated by tension or arguments? Our 7-step roadmap gives you the tools to move from conflict to collaboration quickly and confidently. Have you ever been craving for stronger trust? Do you crave for more connection? Discover communication tactics that build respect. You deserve that respect. We all do. Let's repair our relationships, and we can unify teams and families alike. This works professionally, it works personally, and it also works socially. We can transform that conflict into connection, together, achieving unity. Unity inspires us in our homes. Unity shapes society. Or if we're not being unified, it can separate the society. But unity can also transform workplaces. We help you turn frustration into understanding. Have you ever said, or maybe heard somebody else say, "What the frustration?" Okay, they may not have said frustration, but the point's the same. What we help you do is find the value in your actions instead of reacting in that anger or that frustration. We can bring that forward because we show how anger truly holds no value. Anger, A-N-G-E-R, is actions not gaining effective results. That's right, anger. Actions not gaining effective results. There's no value to anger. Yes, we know life happens. It happens in every relationship, from personal relationships to professional relationships, socially, on the internet. It happens from parenting time to partnerships. It happens in the boardroom. It happens in the bedroom. And it happens in every room in between. But what do? We show you how to embrace those challenges and encourage a more inspired and inclusive future. Again, EII. What we can do to, again, encourage, inspire, and include others. One vision, one goal, achieving unity in every area of life. What's our call to action? Well, that's pretty simple. Let's ditch the drama. Let's get stuff done. I'll talk about that on the personal side, on the business side, the professional side. We show you how you can turn your life from what may seem sometimes like a dumpster fire into a well-oiled machine. Don't let others impact you. Don't let others frustrate you. Achieving unity is the path, that path to stronger relationships, inspired leadership, and lasting change, long-term improvements. We do coaching, do consulting, courses, and keynote speeches. We will even do workshops to help you, your company, your family, everyone come together. Contact us today. Another one of our domains, realityfocuseddynamics.com. Reach out. Contact us. And as always, don't forget, 303-362-8733, 303-FOCUS, or there's another QR code right to the bottom of the screen. Looking forward to talking with you. Oh, and like I said, our podcast is weekly, and we have a wonderful guest today. Dr. Sheri is going to talk to us about so many great things. But don't forget next week for our upcoming podcast. Next week, Edwin Marino will talk to us about the boss, enabling a human intelligence, workplace in the growing era of AI. We'll do the HI, human intelligence, in the growing area of AI, artificial intelligence. So come back with us. That's on November 5th. And the week after that, Ronald Stein will be here talking about the energy literacy. We talk about renewing energy, renewable energy, we talk about how we use energy. But are they telling us everything that we need to know? Come back on November 12th. Let's talk to Ronald Stein and let him tell us more about where energy comes from, how it's used, and more about, are we really, truly saving energy? Week after that, Debbie Fennell, building lists through relationships. So November 19th. Come talk to us about that. Come share with us. Building lists through relationships. Who are your friends? Who are your best friends? Who's your family? Who are the people that you work with? With your employment. Let's work together on building those lists and build better relationships. Week after that, Roy Sheridan, heal, rebuild, resolve, create the life and the love that you deserve even after toxic relationships. We all need that. We've had that problems before. So good along with achieving unity, we can also help create more life and the loves that we deserve. So come back and talk with Lori on November 26th. Then, 1st of December, Anita Sarda. What's inspiring you to lift others? Are you being that positive person? Do you want to be? Do you want to help the others around you be more positive so we can all have that positive attitude? Again, December 3rd. Come back. We're looking forward to seeing you. And all of these people are here to share more about achieving unity. But today, I am so excited. This is so interesting about a person who gave up a wonderful career and is coming back to help us. Retreat Strategies. Dr. Sheri Rosenthal is a transformational life coach, a retreat strategist, and formal podiatric surgeon who walked away, no pun intended, from a thriving medical career to find true happiness, true purpose. Don't we all want that? We'll talk about that more today. After years of external success, but internal emptiness, she sold her practice and began a profound spiritual journey that led her to study under Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of The Four Agreements. During her 8 years of mentorship, she became a master Toltec teacher, author, and speaker, writing the complete Idiot's Guide to Toltec Wisdom and Banish Mind Spam. A lot of that up there sometimes. Where is our mind going? Let's ask her more about that. Today, Dr. Sheri is the founder of the Wanderlust Entrepreneur, where she teaches coaches, healers, and transformational leaders how to design and lead life-changing, life-improving retreats around the world. Her mission is to help people stop living by others' expectations. We know everyone else has a rumor or everyone else has an opinion, everyone else has an expectation. Stop living by those. Step into your own authentic power and create businesses and lives that truly love. She's known for her clarity, her humor, and heart-centered wisdom. She inspires audiences to live boldly, freely, and with purpose. Look at the bottom right of the screen. You can see two of her URLs, her sites, the wanderlustentrepreneur.com and the journeyofthespirit.com. Please help me welcome Dr. Sheri Rosenthal.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm really excited to be here today and share with everybody. Yeah.
Sheri, it's exciting to have you here. I just love your bright attitude, the things that you talk about, all the things that you share with us. So, well, let's just kick things off right away. Could you tell us, just open us, maybe introduce us a little bit about your story? Share with us how you went from being in medicine to launching a global retreat business and why that shift mattered so much to you.
Well, originally, I did not want to be a physician, but in my family, you either became a doctor or a lawyer. So back then, I didn't like writing. So I figured, hey, let me become a doctor. So that's really how that started. And I went to school to become a podiatrist. And I love teaching. So I actually taught while I was in school in physiology lab and biochemistry
Wow.
lab. And I also ended up creating a surgical residency program and teaching and sharing that way. So it wasn't all that
Impressive.
bad. And I love my patients, they were great. And just the structure of medicine didn't work for me very well. And so after 16 years, I finally got up the courage to leave. I had definitely had it. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to go. My parents thought I was going to be homeless. My sister thought I'd be living under a bridge. They told me I had no skills in life. I didn't believe them, of course.
Good.
People tell us a lot of things, but it's, you know, about their fear, not about your life, really. And so I decided to go on a retreat, the first one I had ever gone on. I went with Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote The Four Agreements. A lot of people are familiar with that book. And in that one retreat, it turned my head around 180 degrees. I really
Wow.
understood from that retreat why I was where I was in life and how I got there. And I understood it would take me a while to work through all that, but at least now I had an understanding that the reason I was where I was in my life had nothing to do with my ex husbands, with my parents, with Medicare and insurance. It had nothing to do with anything but me, my responsibility, my actions, my choices. And I worked moving forward to change that so that my life was what I wanted and created it my way. And that is how that started. So after those retreats, and then I worked for Don Miguel for 2 years, and then I went out on my own teaching the material. And I started my travel company to run my retreats through because I
Wow.
was so touched by the transformation that I got from all the retreats that I had gone on during those years I studied with him. I really wanted to share that with others. And that's how I got started in that. And then in 2014, like 2013, 2012, one of my students passed, and it just marked a time for me to change what I was doing in life. And so I put aside the four agreements and the books I read and created and all of that. And I created Wanderlust Entrepreneur. I realized that a lot of retreat leaders, they had so much to share, but they are not necessarily good business people, are heart-based entrepreneurs. And so I wanted to create a system for designing, pricing, planning, marketing, and monetizing retreats. And that's how I created Wanderlust Entrepreneur and still doing retreats, but also training people to do them and do them safely and legally.
That's great. It helps out so much because there's so much to the things that you're talking about that people don't think about.
Yes.
Because I promote people going to retreats because, please help me out here. When you're in a retreat, you're off generally somewhere else. You're with other people who have the same thought process that you do, looking for the same next step, maybe, that you're looking for. So you get to learn among others that are growing and maybe in the same ways that you are. So your conversations are positive. They're supportive in the process. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's a lot of acting out sometimes as we go through that process. And the idea is that the retreat leader is a good facilitator and holds space for whatever process people need to go through. And so it does create community on a very deep level because people share very intimate things. And of course, what happens on the retreat should stay on the retreat there. So these are deeply personal things. But also, I've seen retreats, Mark, that are what you wouldn't think are transformational, but actually are because they can be on any subject as long as there's a group of people who are interested in that material. For example, you could have a retreat on Hashimoto's disease, where women get together who have gone through that disease and want to be able to talk and express what they're experiencing without people poo pooing them. So there are retreats for people who knit. There are retreats for parents who have lost a child and don't want to hear, platitudes. They want to be with people who have experienced the grief that they have. So transformation happens in all different ways, even on a knitting retreat. If you can imagine taking someone to, let's say, New Zealand, where the sheep are shorn and the wool is spun, and they get to go through
Well,
this whole entire process that's like 7,000 years old and really have a deep appreciation for it. And magic happens when we travel and we're out of our normal environment. So retreats could be on almost anything. And I always find even the things you don't think are transformational are very transformational.
I like what you're saying there too, Sherry, because as you mentioned earlier, a lot of people might look at a retreat and say, well, I don't want to go there because I'm not going to tell my stories. But yet, as you mentioned, it's what the joke about what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. It turns the pattern around to be a little bit more serious that when you're on these retreats, you are able to open up. You'll be able to talk about some things that maybe you think you didn't want to talk about before. But when you're amongst other people who are sharing, as you're saying, the same type situation, some
Exactly.
happy, some not so happy,
Mhm.
but you're truly building that companionship, that ability to talk about things that you may not have thought you wanted to talk about previously. But once you're there, as you're talking about, once you're away from your normal, once
Yeah.
you're outside your daily pattern, those ideas and concepts can come forward. And as you express those, you can also start building. As those come out, the better can come in. That
Exactly.
is,
It's the transformational process. And I think before that happens is a process of awareness. You really need to take responsibility and own up to everything that you've done and created in your life to be able to move forward. And yes, it happens on knitting retreats. And it happens in situations you would never think it happens in. But when you bring together a group of people with a common interest where they feel safe and held, things happen. People talk, stuff comes out. So it's quite lovely. And I feel like for me, I am training all of these thousands and thousands. We've trained over 20,000 retreat leaders so far since 2014.
wow,
And
it's a lot.
they are going out creating all of these retreats and transforming lives. So it's really powerful for me to know that I have helped make them successful to be able to share this and for all of these people to have this experience. It's quite magical, actually.
I can hear it in your voice. I know what you're talking about because I've been to some of these and I've experienced a bit of it.
Yes.
But that ability to come together and meet people, people you would never think of as your friends, but as you start talking, you build that bond and then it carries on after the retreat. So all the things that you talked about, the stories you thought before, which I keep talking about, that you may not have thought about you ever wanted to tell anyone, and then come out. And as you build that bond with the other retreat members, you can communicate more later. And then it's a continual building, continuous improvement going forward.
Yes.
Well, you run two major ventures, right? You have, like you mentioned, Wanderlust, Entrepreneur, and then you also have Journeys of the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Could you take a couple of minutes and kind of explain how are they different? How are they the same? What,
Oh,
and maybe what inspired them?
easy. So Journeys of the Spirit started in 2003, and that's my travel company. So we do retreat management. So a lot of our students from Wanderlust to Entrepreneur want help with their retreats, and we can do that since we do retreat management. We do regular travel too. A lot of bespoke travel we are involved with. So, detailed itineraries that are not tours, but individual special trips. So we specialize in that. And there's also seller of travel law in the United States and Canada, and similar laws in Europe. And so if you run a retreat, which is all inclusive, it actually can be under seller of travel law. So my state that I'm incorporated in Florida, is one of those seller of law states. So I needed to create a travel agency to run my retreats through to be legal. So that is the travel side. And then there's the coaching side of the business. And so Wanderlust Entrepreneur is training retreat leaders to run successful, profitable retreats.
We'll touch on that name a little bit. Wanderlust. You're wandering, but you have that lust to wonder. Am I pulling that out right?
Yeah, it's when I named, actually the first 3 years, we didn't have a name in the business. But we just put ourselves out there in training retreat leaders. But we finally came up with Wanderlust Entrepreneur because most of our people are entrepreneurs. They're creating their own businesses and coaching or and doing retreats worldwide, and they wander. And all of us who do retreats internationally, and of course they don't have to be, there are people that can't travel or don't want to,
Right.
and that's fine. They can do retreats locally or in their own country, but I would say the majority of people want to travel the world, and this is a great way for them to do it, so they can transform lives, travel the world, and make a great income doing so.
That's such a great point because one of the things, just for me personally, I learned so much from traveling, seeing outside what my next door neighbor was doing, people across the town were doing, maybe a state over, a couple of states over, maybe, but to travel, get on the plane with other people who sometimes are just as nervous as you are about the travel, going into another land and seeing how people live that we may have thought was only the movie. We may have thought that's not real. That's just the movies. But once you go over there, when I went to Europe, it was amazing. Times I've gone to Mexico, you see people living in ways that we didn't think were actually possible that could be true. But yet when we're out there traveling and you get there and you wander a little bit, you get that lust for travel because you're learning from them, they're learning from you. And then back to what we were talking about, what I mentioned earlier, you build a camaraderie, don't you?
Yes, it's more than that, though, Mark. I feel like people who don't travel can lack empathy sometimes for other cultures, religions, foods, and the way people live, and be judgmental. Once you start to travel the world, you come to understand that there's really no difference between any of us, regardless of how we live or what we believe in religiously. I think it comes down to we all want our families to be safe. We all want our children to grow up healthy and happy. We all want to eat and have a roof over our head. And then when you start really learning about other people and what their values are and what's important to them in life, you find out you're really not any different than any other human, and you start to forge friendships and understanding with people from different cultures that you never knew really experienced before, except maybe on TV. But I have made so many friends worldwide that are all different religions and all different backgrounds and do all different kinds of things. And it's wonderful. It's made me into a more understanding and compassionate person. And I don't have the same kind of judgment maybe that I had years ago, because I really see that the other is no different than me.
I think that is so true and goes the point of that continual, that that lust for travel, as you talk about, and then being that entrepreneur, is jumping out, whether it be your business, just your
Mhm.
personally, but being able to get out there and learn from others, like you're talking about, I think is so powerful in itself. But let's talk a little bit about your travel company now. Your travel company, you work only with retreats, or do you do more? Can you tell us a little bit more?
No, yes, of course. We do retreat management, as I said, but we also do what I call bespoke travel. Like, for example, my sister and husband just went to Switzerland for 3 weeks, and we built that trip out from scratch. They did not want to travel with a group in any way. So, every single aspect of the 3 weeks, every hotel, every transfer, every guide, we put together that trip. So that's why I say bespoke, because it's totally created for you. Now, of course, we can book a cruise. That's not a problem. But where we really shine is in these types of travel experiences where you really want to take you and your family to do something really special and individualized.
That I think that's what a lot of people are looking for because, and you mentioned the word cruise. I've been on several cruises, went with family and friends, had a great time. But a cruise is a lot of people, a lot of great things to a cruise, but there's also some times you would like to be alone. That's a little bit tougher on a cruise. What if, let me just throw a scenario out there for you. What if I want to go to France? I want to go to the Bordeaux region, and I don't want to cruise, but maybe if I want one of those the small boats that there may be 50 people, I don't know, 25 people, just some way to travel to Bordeaux and then saying and travel some places like that. Is that something I could talk to you about? Somebody that's listening here could say, well, yes, that's what I want to do. Could we call you and romantic trip perhaps or
Absolutely. You can do a barge trip through the small
barge?
arteries throughout France. And that is amazing. And it comes with a chef and it comes with a captain, and you just enjoy a beautiful itinerary that way. Also, for example, I just did a retreat the end of August where I rented a 161-foot luxury yacht and took a group of clients from Dubrovnik to Split and back. It was
Hmm.
absolutely over the top incredible. So you could have, and I actually had my husband come and my parents, and so it was really nice. My mom loved all my clients and they adopted her and she adopted them. And it was like family
Nice.
and it was
Mhm.
beautiful. But it could have been a multi-generational trip. It could have been, your kids, you and grandparents having a yacht and going up the coast of Croatia. We do anything and everything you can think of.
That's so interesting, and it kind of answers some questions I don't think a lot of people realize in too many ways that reaching out to someone like you for travel, you're not talking about just staying at the Hilton or the Hyatt or the Holiday Inn. You're talking about making an intensive, heartfelt
Yes.
travel, something that's more than being out with just everyone else. And again, the cruises I have been on, not that I'm saying I wouldn't take another one, but they're cruises. You take it one more step, is what I'm hearing. Sheri, is that
Yes.
right? And
Yes. Yes,
put a
absolutely.
little
So
more
we
into
can
it.
do that. And I like cruises too. I like them on smaller boats. And so
Okay.
most of my
So,
clients also want smaller boats because they're not party boats and you get more of an intellectual crowd, or, like they're curious about culture, and that's where the focus of the trips are. So, yeah, we do everything and anything. So it's an interesting thing to have the both sides of the business.
mhm. Well, I'm just kind of taking advantage of the situation because you brought this up. My
Yes.
sweetheart and I had talked about that. Well, better half has talked about doing a trip into France, going into Bordeaux,
Yeah.
doing the boat trip, and it would be great if we could do something to do with wine the whole time. When you talk about
Absolutely.
retreats, a wine retreat.
Yeah.
Is that something that we could talk to you about?
Absolutely.
So
No
anyone that's listening,
problem.
if they have ideas, sorry to interrupt you, go ahead.
It's great. We can do it.
So anybody that's listening to this, if they have an idea maybe like you're talking about, wherever they want to go. If they want to go see, for example, where their family, where their ancestry came from, wherever it might be in anywhere around the world, they could call you and say, "This is what I want. I want
Hmm.
a little bit more to my vacation, to my trip." You would be able to work with them, help them design that. And because you work in retreats, it could possibly be a retreat if they were interested
Or just a trip.
somewhere.
Either way, we do it.
That's, yeah, that's great because you kind of handle both sides of that situation. And I like that too
Exactly.
because retreats, I think, can be very beneficial, as we've already talked about. I don't want to keep repeating it, but to be around people that are same mindset you are. I
Yep.
mentioned earlier, you talked about the executives, but more a crowd that thinks the way that you do, feels the way that you do. Because on a cruise, wonderful people. You mentioned it's sometimes more of a party boat, but something a bit more intellectual. So you would help us do that, help the listener, anyone that's listening to this
Mhm.
podcast, you would help them go that next step in building that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, let's talk about that a second. If you kind of lighten it up maybe for a minute, if you could pick one hilarious or maybe a surprising travel mishap, one of your retreats, one of your trips, what would you think of? What might that be? What did it teach you?
There's always strange things that happen when you travel. On one of my retreats, we were flying into Belize and then crossing the border into Mexico. Because back then, that was an easy way to get to the Chetumal area of Mexico. She did not read the information really well, and she thought that the whole trip was in Belize. And she had no idea, even though she signed we have legal forms and it has the whole itinerary in it. And I give very detailed information like a surgeon. She didn't read any of it. And she thought the trip was in Belize and not Mexico. And the whole trip was in Mexico. So you never know what's going to happen. So
That's
that was
so
pretty
true.
crazy.
That is pretty crazy. I did that one
Yep.
time. I flew into Cozumel and they're flying us from Cozumel to Cancun. And the plane was one of those cigar planes. It was two people on one side, one person on the other. Very interesting plane. And we didn't get more than, it didn't seem like about 10 feet off the water. Yes, I know it was 500 feet or something, but it didn't seem like we were far above that water. Unique things that can happen when you travel.
Yes. So that was kind of funny. But, you know, I took a group to um, Egypt, and we were totally
Oh,
paid for a reservation. We got to the hotel, and they said you didn't have a reservation. Of course, I had the payment and everything, and they had to give all of us
paperwork.
suites because they had no rooms that we had paid for. So we got all suites. I didn't mind, but
Oh,
like
no.
strange things can happen when you travel.
And I like going with people like you. You have that trust in you because you can stand by them. You can help them out along the way, right?
Absolutely.
Well, one of the values that I think that you emphasize going through your website, and a lot of these questions, I have a basic idea what your answer is going to be, but I'd like to hear some of it from you. But one of the values that you emphasize is a self-trust and authentic alignment rather than just following a script that others expect. How is that so foundational in your model and your model for growth? And as you say, that transformation, being transformational.
Well, everything that at least I do still has the four agreements behind it. So it's always about that authenticity and standing in your personal power and who you are and what your truth is. And so, even for our retreat leaders, it's for them to stand also in that truth for themselves because they become better facilitators. And then they don't take their clients personally because it's never about you. You know, when you're dealing with groups of people, you need to stand in your power and be able to listen no matter what's going on. Sometimes it's crying, sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's projecting on you. And it's one of the things we teach in our course at Wanderlust Entrepreneur for retreat leaders is really being able to be that person that no matter what happens, you know who you are and you know what you have to offer to people, and you can handle whatever happens. So,
That is
very
so
important.
true. Very important. That's right. And that's
Yeah,
one of the things that we
calmly,
work calmly. That's,
calmly always.
yeah, that's so true. That's one of the things that I talk about. Calm is canceling anger leads motivation. CALM. I talk about that in the course. Being
Yes,
calm.
there you
Canceling
go.
anger leads motivation. You've never been impressed by someone that's been angry. Ooh, they did this. If we go, some people may like a boxing match or something like that, but you've got two people that have agreed to be in that boxing ring. We don't need that in daily life, day-to-day life.
No,
That's
we
we
don't
don't
need
we don't
that
need the
on a
anger.
retreat. No,
Mm.
it's about transformation. And sometimes
Right.
it involves anger because people are going through things. As long as we understand it's not about us, it's about them. And we're there to help guide them through that so they can come out on the other side.
I like what you're saying because that's one of the things that I like is going from anger to passion. There's so much about what we do that we are just so passionate about that we will make sure, I think as you're saying, don't lose yourself, but take that anger away and
Mhm.
instead put the passion into how we feel and what we do to take that forward, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm. Well, a lot of what you do kind of mixes travel and culture. And I think, like you're saying, many times a spiritual awakening together. How do you see the act of leaving one's usual environment, as you talked about, contributing to that inner transformation or that deeper insight going forward? How do you see that happening?
Well, in general, when it comes to retreats, at least, I always feel like, or let me take a step back, even in the entrepreneurial world and having your own business and helping others, for me, that business is a spiritual path because your business will always reflect to you where you need to grow and what you need to change and where your blocks are. So that is very, very important. So when you're creating retreats and working in your business, you are growing as much as your people who you are helping. So the retreats have that influence on both. I always learn something about myself when I'm doing a retreat. And I think that is very core in what happens at Wanderlust Entrepreneur. We really understand that the way we grow as entrepreneurs, that's that's the greatest gift. We're not taking orders from others, and hopefully, we're not taking orders from the worst part of ourselves, like you can't do it, or you'll never be able to get people to come on. People are never going to come on my retreat, or I can't charge what I deserve. So that's what I mean by it really is a spiritual path. And when you look at it that way, you see that all those little obstacles that come up while you're in business are just opportunities to grow, to learn, to transform yourself. And as you transform, you can help your people even more. As you grow, then they grow along with you too. So it's a beautiful process.
It it truly is, and I like the way that you help others. And one of the other areas that I work with is in parenting and helping mothers and fathers and men and women and male and female. And for what you do, we're looking at the fathers and the men and the parents, or even some of the mothers in the same perspective, people who may feel stuck in a routine, almost like you said earlier. You're either going to be a doctor or a lawyer based on family traits. So
Mhm.
sometimes where those routines or roles may not fit, can you help us with maybe a few lessons from your retreats that maybe could apply to these situations?
Well, at some point in time, we realize, hopefully, that we have the right to be happy, to do what we want to do in life without family and friends and everyone else getting into it saying, you can't do that or you'll never succeed doing that. It happens all the time. Like, for example, I remember when I moved from New York to Florida and I went to start a practice down there. And one of my friends who was a chiropractor said, "You know what, Sheri, I have room in the back of my office, several rooms I don't use. Why don't you come in here? I'll give you free rent for 6 months." I'm like, awesome. But right next door to him, somebody had just closed, another podiatrist, and had gone bankrupt. And the biggest podiatry practice was right around the corner. And so my parents said, "You'll never make it. You can't open there. The loan that you take from the bank to buy your equipment and stuff, you'll never pay back. And you're going to be in debt." And I'm like, it doesn't matter if that other person closed down. They're not me. And
Right.
so I spent time to see what other practices were doing and how they were doing it and set out to be me and be different. In 3 years, I had to buy the building across the street because I outgrew his 3 treatment rooms in the back of his office.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
yeah, and then I sold that practice after
That
10
is
years. And so, yeah, you can do anything. You just can't listen to the naysayers. And you have to go with what's in your heart. And if you feel strongly about something, it doesn't really matter what other people say. I mean, yes, you want to listen to advice. I'm not saying not to listen, but you can hear and discern what applies and what it doesn't apply and move forward.
and from where your perspective is, and which is totally different where someone else's perspective is. All of our learnings are different, right? I've learned things that are different what you've learned from all the people in this podcast, all the people who listen to this podcast. We all have a different amount of knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
but it's up to us to be able to learn what we can and what we know and be able to put it together in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm. So I would
And I
say
like,
you have to be brave and stand up for yourself. That can be hard sometimes, especially with family, but in the end, they're not living your life. You are.
and is so true. And I like what you said too, that we have the right to happiness, but it's
Yes.
also a responsibility that we need to take on and take
Mhm.
on that ability to be happy, even when others aren't. When they have that, let's just say immaturity, that that's them. If they're finding something wrong with everything, would like to help them if they want help, but we don't have to bring that on to ourselves and bring in our own insecurity, right?
Exactly.
We can take
Exactly.
that to the next level and build upon that to be who we are. Like you said, with your business, somebody else may not have been able to do it. Their thinking process, the way they
Hmm.
learned what they learned growing up, may have kept them in that tunnel.
Exactly.
But someone like you that has an idea of, yes, I can do this, and maybe doing it this way is not the best way. What are some other ways that I can
Hmm.
challenge what's going on and take it to that next level, right?
Yep. I think there are many people out there that want to support us and help us if we allow it. And that's another issue sometimes. We're afraid to ask for help or allow help in. So it's really important to be able to do that because none of us are an island. We depend on each other. Um, Humans are
Unity.
tribal, right? We're tribal. So we need that help from the community, from friends, and from people who believe in us. It's just building that support system around you so that you can achieve anything you want to in life.
So well said. And being able to reach out, and you may travel to meet some of these people, maybe long travels, or maybe even in your own town. But get out and meet others. Don't feel trapped where you are. If it's not working, reach out to that next level and grow with other people. And I think you even mentioned a notion of audacious living. It's audacious living. It shows up in your website. Living in defiance of convention, building, for example, a heart-based business. Could you define a little bit more about what that audacious is, what it means, and how someone might begin to step into that
Yeah.
audacious living?
Audacious means something different to different people, but from my perspective, it's living your life as boldly as possible and defying convention and maybe doing things that the people you love never expected from you. It's just reaching for the stars, everything that you could possibly be in this lifetime, and going for it. That's audaciousness to me. So you're looking at my old website, probably my old Sheri Rosenthal website. That's okay. It's up there for a reason too. But I think that's very important, and I hope it encourages people to really go for some audaciousness and put yourself out there. I'll tell you, it's amazing to me, Mark, and I don't know if you feel this way, but my life has flown by so fast. And I feel like, so this year I turned 68. And I'm like, where did the time go? It goes so fast. And if you don't go for it, when will you go for it? I remember when I sold my practice, my patients were very sad that I was leaving. But they all said, and I had a lot of patients that were in their 90s, even over 100, they said to me, the one mistake I made in my life is listening to other people and not doing the things that I wanted to. If you want to sell this practice, I will miss you, Dr. Sheri, but do everything that you want. Be anything that you want, because before you know it, you're going to be my age. And then what? Then you don't know. Will you be sick? Will other things become in the way?
Things could
And
happen.
you must live your life fully and boldly and audaciously while you can. And I really feel that now because I'm now kind of inching up there. And yeah, my grandmother lived to 101, and I hope I have a long and healthy life, but we never know.
You never know.
So
Mhm.
that's why we need to pass away with no regrets. I think that is really what they were trying to teach me. And I really appreciated it because my patients were so wise.
That is so true. And we never know, as you mentioned, life happens. We mentioned the very first of this podcast. And that ability to do what you're talking about, grab onto it, build
Yes,
and grow forward. It's up to us. It's our responsibility, as you said, our right to be happy. So let's take on
yes,
that responsibility and go for the next level. Don't let somebody pull you back. Go for it.
yes,
So for our listeners, and I'm going to bet there's a lot of listeners that are intrigued and ready to dive in to what you're saying. If they are, do you have, let's say, 3 questions that they can ask themselves right now to assess if a retreat or launching a retreat is right for them?
well, for all our heart based entrepreneurs out there that are listening, I would say if you like intimacy with your clients, like a chance to be with them and spend time with them and work with them closely, then you absolutely need to add retreats to your business. If you're one of those people that you don't want to be around people, you want to sell just an online course, that's good too, but that's a different person. So people who
Yes.
lead retreats, they love intimacy. They want to be with people. So I would ask that question. And also to ask in your business if you have a variety of different offerings, because retreats can be a high-end offering for you because it's only a small group of people, and it gives your audience a chance to choose some different ways to work and interact with you. Not everyone's going to want to go on a retreat, but you may have people who are waiting for you to do a retreat. So that's another question to ask yourself. And I think those two are pretty much what I would say. I'm not sure if I have a third.
That's a great way to go in the process of what they need to do. And that's number one, to be able to reach out to you and what you're doing. And we talk about time. Time is flying. We only have about 6 more minutes. This has
Okay.
been exciting and so informative of what you're doing.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this. You travel, you teach, you transform, you coach, you build businesses, and you inspire people. If you had a message, one sentence, maybe two, for a listener today who simply wants to feel more alive, more aligned, more connected with themselves, their purpose, and their people, what would you tell them?
I'd tell them to connect with their inner truth. You know, what the universe is trying to tell them through them. Listen, stop with the internal dialogue, like quiet the mind and connect with the heart and let that message come through. What you really maybe should be doing in life, or where you would should be going. I don't know, but you need to be able to connect with that, not with the mind. It's not about thinking what I should do next, or what do I need to do, or what should I. It's not about that. It's really about connecting inside with who you truly are and bringing forth those gifts that you've been given in this lifetime. You need to cultivate them and bring them forth so they serve others. I think we're all in service to each other, and that's how we uplift with those God given or spirit given, or whatever word you want to use, talent that you have that you came into the world with. And you have an obligation to give and share and help others in whatever way you do it.
I think
Was
you
a
have said
long
so much
sentence.
there. That was a great sentence, though. And what you said, just what you share, because one of the things that I work with and help coach with, and I see that you do too, if people need to think about that, they need to think about where their heart is. And again, back to what you were saying, back when I was growing up, the time I left high school and went to college, it was a whole new world for me. That was not what I learned going my first 12 grades of school, the first 18 years. What happened to me once I got to college, a whole new world out there. Like you talk about being the doctor, being the lawyer, what do you do? But as we talk to people that have been in some of these same situations, help them find out what's truly deep down in that heart. Go to these retreats, talk to you, find a retreat that's good for them. Or if they have a business, if they are an entrepreneur, talk to you and help put that retreat together, right?
Absolutely. We have wonderful training programs that are so much fun. Like, what's not fun about creating retreats? It's like the most fun course you could possibly take.
It is. And that ability that you're talking about, to go on these retreats, and I know there was a time when I was afraid. I didn't want to say things, but when you get on the retreat and start talking to you, start talking to the other members that are
Hmm.
there, they'll open up and talk about things that you didn't think maybe you wanted to talk about, but that openness also opens that door to success, that success-focused solution right there. Take
Yes.
that dynamic, take it onto that retreat, build forward, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, thank you. Wow, what an incredible conversation with Dr. Sheri. Thank you so much for showing how purpose plus process creates lasting impact, blending that spiritual clarity that you have with real world planning, pricing, legal readiness that you talked about, and inclusive facilitation. because that too is the AUSL, Achieving Unity Success Formula. But as
Absolutely.
you mentioned, dream boldly, build wisely, serve generously.
Hmm.
Everyone is listening. Consider your next aligned step, retreat or otherwise. Where can accountability, courage, and connection move you forward? Thank you, Dr. Sheri Rosenthal. Thanks to all of our AUSF community for turning unity into action. Because remember, unity, just like Dr. Sheri said, is the ownership of beliefs, and action with alignment plus clarity are the mindsets of value and not just an ideal. They are success strategies. It's a daily choice to lead with empathy, act with integrity, and uplift others along the way. A service that we can give for free as we gain so much for ourselves. So if what I'm sharing with you today means something and you want to find out a bit more, come talk to me. UnitySuccessFormula.com, markentricken.com, or call me 303-362-8733, which is 303 focused on your dial. And again, with each and every inspiration that Dr. Sheri Rosenthal shared with us today, she has the wanderlustentrepreneur.com, journeysofthespirit.com. Get with her on LinkedIn. Contact Dr. Sheri. Go through her website, go through LinkedIn, connect with her, talk with her a little bit more, find out more. Until next time, let us continue to transform that chaos into connection. Let us continue achieving unity. www.achievingunity.com. Again, call us 303 Focused. We can stay focused on turning chaos into connection as we achieve unity by harnessing the power of encouraging, inspiring, and including others, building our businesses, building better businesses, better lives, and a better world. Sheri, do you have anything, Dr. Sheri, do you have anything else to say before we close?
No, I would love everybody to connect with me because we've got some free goodies and different things on our website, and we'd love to share and help in any way we can. So thank you, Mark. So yeah, I would
Oh,
hope people come to wanderlustentrepreneur.com or Journeys of the Spirit. We'd love to help them. Thank you.
I hope they do too, and let me know what I can do to help, because everyone here on this call, everyone that listens to this, you do deserve it. You deserve being happy. Life is what we make it. So let's make it awesome together in unity. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Sheri, for
Thank
your
you.
message of helping others. Thank you for your time, your commitment, and hope to see you all again next week. Dr. Sheri, thank you again.
Thank you.
Till we see each other again. Cheers.
Bye bye.